What's going on, y'all? I'm gonna get right to the point, straight with it, right? We heard this term a lot, rat race. Rat race. Everybody wants cheese. You know what I'm saying? It's like we get caught up in the rat race. Well, what does that mean? Right? So, we what does that term rat race mean? Like, if you think of rats, right? If you think of rats being trapped or in a maze, and the smell, the desire, the incentive of whatever that um I guess controllable variable is, which for rats is cheese, for us as humans living in America it's money, right? Like that money, that cheese, that proverbial cheese is placed there. You know what I'm saying? It's placed there. It's placed in different corners, different parts of the maze, and we gotta go find that. We gotta maneuver extremely every day, multiple times a day, for multiple decades, if not the rest of our life, to get to that cheese. And when you get to that cheese, what happens? Can you get to the point where now you're full and content? I don't think so. Why? Because the cheese is proverbial. Money is not going to make us content because there's always going to be a need of money here. Rat race. It circumvents itself, right? It's a cycle. It's a circle. Because what happens is when people start off broke, when people start off with low money, and they are able, they're blessed to increase their finances, increase their income, they want more items, they want more things, right? They're not leveraging debt, they're not leveraging um, different opportunities to maximize income and minimize monthly expenses. Right? They're now looking at more lucrative items, um, in life that incurs more funds, right? You know, Instead of getting to the point where people can get the ability to either lessen their expenses or increase their funds. If you could do both, if you could find a way to do both at some point in your life, you have an opportunity, you have a chance, But if you can't, man, you're gonna be to a point where either you're gonna stay here low, like in a means of from a means of income, from a means of class, net worth, equity, where you can't leverage any sort of debt you have, leverage any sort of assets you have, right? Leverage your expertise to 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 work, to climb your corporate ladder, so to speak. If you don't have this stuff, these tangibles or intangibles, then it's gonna be hard for you to get out of that rat race. You know, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard for you to maneuver, right, and not stay in that maze. Yes, there's gonna be cheese at different parts of the corner, but how can you mitigate liability? How can you mitigate long-term financial duress, right? How can you mitigate resurfacing debt, right? How can you increase your credit just enough to leverage certain things where you could put some skin in the game and pull out, right? Like, what can you do with the cards you're dealt with to put yourself in a better position? We are trapped because this is a rat race. Not only, I'll break it down to y'all. Not only do we fight with ourselves internally, every day is a struggle when you're human, right? Especially when you're young, when there's different, when inevitables happen. There's different pressures in your life, right? You go older, you begin to isolate, you begin to mature, you begin to take lesser L's, right? You're supposed to be growing in different facets of your life. As you get older, you're supposed to be doing that. You know, so it's like, you know, how can I get better? Like, how can I get to that point where, you know, I'm not so much struggling with myself from a negative standpoint, because every day you live is a struggle. Struggle has become a negative connotation, but a struggle doesn't mean you lose. A struggle doesn't mean defeat. It's just, something's just hard. And as you get older, you should be supposed to be getting stronger and different, stronger financially, stronger socially, stronger emotionally, stronger spiritually, stronger mentally, stronger financially, right? You could just pull on, you just, you know, you could be stable longer, right? Like tug of war. It's always going to struggle, but if you get lower in your squat, right, keep your head up, get your grip worked on, get that form, you can hold on a bit more. Still a struggle, you just got stronger. So it's like, you know, how do we get within ourselves and get stronger for us? That's one. That's something that's day to day that we got to figure out, right? But then two, how do we get to the point where we're not, you know, in a position where we're being pressured, or there's a sort of control on our life, a sort of puppeteer, like this mystic puppeteer in our life, you know, I'm gonna turn around, this mystical puppeteer, you know, string kind of control, where we can't really see the lines. You know, how do we get to the point where like we kind of like untangle ourselves a bit, right? An entanglement, see what I did there? You know, because, you know, we like, really, no matter what age, right? Certain, you know, to a certain point, and there's probably statistics around it, but, you know, humans are impressionable at the end of the day. And there's a lot of people but what's crazy, on the other side of that coin, there's a lot of people who most people, if not all humans, are impressionable at a certain age, especially when they're a younger child, and they get caught up in their ways. They get caught up in traditions. They get caught up in feeling like there's only one route because that's what you've been told, right? You've been now desensitized to think that this is it, this is the plan. If I don't do this, I fail. If I don't do this, I should not feel good about myself. And it's like, how do we kind of flip the agenda a bit, flip the coin, to not feel trapped in the rat race? If we could get ourselves mentally not trapped in the rat race, there's a chance. We are suffering because we are in a rat race, and most of us don't even realize it. I'm gonna say most of us don't. There's a lot of people who even realize it, and they just say, oh, well, this is just how it is. That's defeat. Now that's where defeat is. When you say, oh, well, that's where it is, instead of let's try to figure something out, like what's the workaround, what can we do? If you're not always pre-planning, like if you're not always having a mindset of going back to the drawing board and figuring some shit out, yes, you've lost. You've mentally lost. What's mental becomes physical. You will never see that trap door that's hidden. You know, you will never see that trap door that's hidden right after you get that cheese. Damn, how do I get out of this maze? I got this cheese, but in these corners, there's different impulses, there's different vices, there's different people telling me to, you know, like we could save later, like we could do this right now. Like there's different things saying like don't travel, don't have your mind open. There's different people in that corner of that rat race who is gonna hold me back slowly but surely. And I may not understand how that looks, but it's happening, you know? Keep straight. But it's happening. How do we get out of this rat race? Do y'all even realize that people who are even at the top 5%, top 1% are in a rat race too? They're just fighting a different race. They're just with a smaller group of people. You know, they're fighting with multimillionaires and billionaires, right? Who could be more rich? Who could be the rich of the rich? Right? But life ain't money. And that's what the rat race is about, because we've stipulated here in America keyword America, we've stipulated that having is quantitative by a bank account, dollars, what's in your pocket, how your house look, how many cars you have, what position you are at in your job, what your 401k looks like, how many people you know, how many wealthy, affluent people you know. Like these are all metrics to success in America. Even if it's dolled up, even if a lot of that shit is on loans, a lot of that shit looks good on paper, even if that thing's all dressed up, a pig with like lipstick on and still a pig type thing. Like even if it looks good on the outside to a T, is it the real thing? Is that going to bring real happiness? No, hell no. Hell no. But should you take advantage of the opportunities you have to leverage whatever type of opportunity, whatever type of credit you gain? Yes. Use them resources, man. But don't get trapped in that rat race,
We're going past it. Get a white bitch.
Don't get trapped in this rat race, man. My mom's told me a couple times that, man, son, you doing great. You going above and beyond most people at your age, blah, 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 blah. And I told my mom, it's like, I have to. I don't feel good at where I'm at. This is where I have to be to try to be comfortable here, right? To try to assert a level of not just being content, but being able to keep progressing. Like, I gotta get to where I'm thinking in my head. I have to isolate. I have to ostracize. I have to maneuver more than other people. And I'm going to fail a lot because I want to fail faster so I can succeed quicker. Because I'm not just gonna try to wait for that trap door that's right after the cheese or right at this corner. If I turn left, if I turn right, if I turn left again. I can't wait for a trap door to come up in my life. I gotta make a trap door, right? I gotta become. I gotta kind of transform and work on, like my muzzle, right, and chew into the hard surface a little bit, right? Chew a little bit into the hard surface. I gotta claw my way. I want to make this trap door. I want to make multiple trap doors so I could pivot. I could bounce. I could go in real quick. That rat race, man, that shit is real. That rat race, it's gonna kill us. It's gonna kill us mentally and emotionally, and we're just walking around. This is bike. All these people on bikes. I gotta get out of here. And we're just walking around zombified. We're becoming machines. We already all know that there's no American dream. We, like most people, like in plain sight, it's not like, man, like there's a lot of people I've literally talked to and said, this is it for me. Don't let it be for you. My wife and I went to go get some fruit punch from McDonald's 2 nights ago. And dude came out. I don't ask these questions to people. I really keep to myself. I'm not going to be ignorant, or I'm not going to be like non-communicative if someone wants to talk to me. But I don't go reaching out, talking to people like that. The dude turned around and said, and it's crazy. Like, I'm already knowing. It's like there's an energy that's there because me and my wife, we talk about a lot of this shit already, about just how things are going, just how things are going, from an economic standpoint. And it gets spiritual. It gets like this is loftier than the physical, like, because how energy works. Like, it gets crazy. It gets crazy how freaking energy works. So we talk about things and we draw that type of energy. We draw that type of like it like it exemplifies itself. The more we talk about it, the more we see it. So the guy, and what I mean by that is this guy came out to me, and me and my wife, we were talking about it the same, like I feel like an hour or two right before, and the guy said, "Man, he's doing DoorDash." Right? He said, "I work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's 84 hours." The man's working 85 hours a week. Now, he didn't tell me a plan that he has on why he's working that long. Oh, let me add. He said just to survive. I told this to my wife. I said, there's a lot of things that people, should be willing to do, right? Should look to do, right? Getting ahead is sometimes working that extra job, working that extra shift or shifts, right? Putting on pause vacation, putting on pause going out to eat because you're trying to accumulate funds and invest in yourself some way, somehow to get yourself ahead some way, somehow. However you deem necessary, you're going to work that out. So there's times where I did it. I did that for, let me turn around. I did that for when I was trying to buy my first house. I put in like 70, 80 hours a week, like for like 4 or 5 weeks. I can make my down payment, right? There's some people, I tell this to my friends, I told this to my sister, like, take advantage of people who are willing to help you, because a lot of people weren't willing to help you. It doesn't matter who they are. If you could live somewhere for free or at a discounted rate, compared to if you were living on your own with a regular landlord at a regular market value, like you could save so much money and just move and do whatever you got to do, whatever you seem fit. Everybody has their own way of success or getting to that next level, you know, um, climbing that economic ladder to hopefully get to the next class. Everybody has a whole way of seeing it. But like there's certain things people should be taking advantage of. Again, rely on any resources or an assistance, especially if it's out there for you. If that's the energy you're drawn, because people feel you. People want to support you. And that's a spiritual thing. Like that's energy driven. People feel what you got going on and they're willing to I won't say the word handout, but they're willing to support. And sometimes that's people helping you where it's free on your side. So you take advantage of that stuff. So anyway, the dude said he's working 12 hours a day for 7 days a week. I don't know how long he's been working. This is just a passing by conversation, but it's stuff like that that exemplifies the things that I already see and I already know from people that I know. That's a stranger. 12 hours a day, 84 hours a week. That's just a scale of what's going on in America. And he said, I'm doing it to survive. Not because I'm trying to build my house. Not because I'm trying to fund my wife's wedding or whatever. Or I'm trying to pay for my college, my education, my son's education. So like, it's not none of that stuff. I'm just doing it because I got to get by. I couldn't stay on that job. I'm not at the job I want to be. I have a degree. I have associates, masters, certificates, GED. Damn, I can show that I'm skilled and educated, but I can't land that job yet because it's not enough money for me to survive. Man's working 84 hours a week. And it's DoorDash. It's not like you're clocking in for this specific 84 hours. It's not like you're making $20, $30 an hour at 84 hours a week. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're hustling. You're on the road for 84 hours a week, hoping for it to make sense. Rat race mentality. And this is an older fella. Older. I'm talking about, I feel like prime age, especially in America, right? With, the working force is around 40. Could be 38 to 43. It could be a wider window, 35 to 45. It's kind of prime, closer to 40, I would say, right? If you get out of college at 20 to 22, you retire at 60, 62, that prime kind of middle where you kind of reached your peak from whatever type of metric standpoint, whether it's, income driven, experience driven, whatever, like at 40-ish prime. And this is a guy who looked above 40. Right, so and this is like I could go on and on and on about seeing just going through so many different examples of what people are going through in life, from a working perspective, not being able to see your kids, not being able to see your wife, your husband, your partner, you know what I'm saying? Not be able to take that vacation, not even being able to retire. There's a lot of people who was killing themselves at work and they can't even retire. You're doing something wrong. Or it's the system. It doesn't matter how much you claw, that rat race, those walls are reinforced. How can you get out if it's reinforced? Because you gotta have that fortitude built in you. A lot of people don't have that fortitude. It's gonna take a while. It's gonna take shit. Sometimes it takes it takes a miracle. It takes kind of you being chosen to get out of that thing, man. It's like, I don't know. I can't tell. It's like, it's crazy. You gotta figure that shit out and make it your life's work. That's what I'm trying to do, and that's why I implore most people to do who's around me. And it's like, damn, man, like, I'm to the point now where I haven't studied psychology. I don't go by a book. I don't know terms, but I'm just looking at people's energy. Basic places I go, just different. I just feel energy from people, and I'll be telling my wife, damn, if this person don't get this or do this by this certain time, I don't know if this ever gonna change for them. And I wish positivity on most people, but people don't know. America, like, you gotta progress here in different forms, or you are going to not only just get stuck, you will fail, man. You will fail, dude. You will fail here. You won't be able to retire. You won't be able to stop paying rent, right? You won't be able to get off all these medications because the food here it's keeping us sick. It's fueling Medicaid. It's fueling Medicare. It's fueling these multi-billion-dollar companies. Like everything, the rat race, right? Everything keeps us stuck here, and you gotta get out some way, somehow, but soon. I think about this people on my job. Like, I know how much money I make, and there's people on my job who's couple positions above me, and I know they make more. I'm saying I know they make more. There's a lot of people who could be at a higher position, they don't make more, and this is just one obviously stream of income, right? And I know that I have directors, VPs, COOs who make more, obviously, right? And it's like, damn, I always think about this. Do people really just love working because it's easy to do? It's just something, right? If you have a sweet job like this, there's gonna be some one-offs, but people don't do shit for work. They got it made, and they get a good living. Like, there's one-offs. I'm not talking about one-offs. I'm talking about you working decently. You working just as hard as the next person. It's stressful. It's time-consuming, and you're making an above-average wage, a good wage. And it's like, damn, how long does this person have to work? I'll be thinking about that. Like, how long? Do they have it in their head? And I'm only talking about people like this because I know people, and it turns into a joke, but it's like, man, we're back at it here on a Monday. Here we go again. Is that just to be just, with the average Joe Blows when we get on these meetings? I don't know. Do they really feel that? I don't know. But it's like, damn, like, man, okay. But I take, that's just a little something, obviously closer to me. It's like, from a work perspective, because I work with these people, so I have uh, uh, an accurate, very accurate estimation of how much they're making, obviously compared to what I'm doing in my same job. Like, there's just people that, I'm walking around, like, people, in this hotel, people that, you go out to eat, people at the gas station. It's like, man, is everybody, like, who's not planning? Who really wants to be, like, change their life? You know, who wants to do that? Who wants to really change their life? I'm dying to know the answers. I'll be telling my wife, I wish like, and this is kind of like from a Black Mirror kind of perspective. If you guys are familiar with that show, I'll be thinking like, damn, I wish like you could tell kind of what's in people's heads. I don't necessarily need to know how much money people make, but it's like, it's like, and I can't find the exact kind of terms or phrase, but it's like, are you gonna make it? Whatever make it means, like, different metrics, at least in America. Like, can you retire? Retirement opens up the door for people to live their life more. One, because they're not working for 8, 10, 12, 18 hours. Some people are working 20. There's some people who do back to back, who work all day. So like retirement should be a imperative goal, you know? And it's like, damn, can this person retire? Can this person get their 401k? Can this person get their SSI? You know what I'm saying? Then I also get deeper. Can this person invest? Like, are they, can they invest by default? Like, are they set up to at least own a home so after 25 or 30 years they can pay that off? You know, did they not get bamboozled by owning a car where it's 25% or more than your gross income? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, did this person go out every weekend just so they can survive the rat race and get back to it on a Monday? Because, well, at least it's Friday and I got my check, you know? There's so many ideas and I can't let my mind wander because it'd be too long of a video, but it's the shit I be thinking about, man. We are trapped. We suffer because this is a rat race. And the goal ain't to get the cheese and dip. The goal, excuse me, let me rephrase that. The goal ain't to get the cheese and stay in it. The goal is to get the cheese and dip somehow, some way. Whatever that cheese looks like for you, you know? Figure it out. I'll be like, it bothers me. I get to the point where I be thinking about stuff. I be looking at how people look. I be looking at what people say, and I tell my wife, it physically bothers me now. It bothers my head. Like I'm forced with a conundrum. Like, it bothers my stomach. It makes me tight because I'm like, damn. I'm not saying I see the future. I don't know what your future holds, and I'm not going to be negative, but damn, there's certain signs that I see right now that if this doesn't get fixed, this doesn't get changed, you don't implement something, you don't get away from this person, you don't quit your job, you don't start this business, right? You don't lose that weight. I don't know. Like, you don't stop having kids with the wrong person. Like, you finna get stuck here, bro. This is the shit I be thinking about, and it's bothering me, you know? So the environment now, I'm plagued with that. It bothers me. It doesn't matter if me or my circle is okay, because when I get out of my circle to live life, my environment bothers me. I could go on and on and on about this, but let me cut this. Let me cut this. It's a rat race. That's why we feel the way we feel. We're designed, like the hamster on the wheel. Like, they don't put these things in front of us and like all this, these animal mechanics. It's that's what we do, you know. It's just what we do. It's just crazy. So get them teeth strong, get them claws strong, and dig a hole. Both get underground for a little minute, or find a way to just get out altogether, man. Get the fuck out of here. Get out of this rat race, dude. Don't die mentally. Peace.